Greetings everybody, this is Emily from A Pages in Ink, and today I will be doing my thriller/horror video for my Bookish Year in Review 2015 week thing that I've been doing. If you don't know what this is me going back this whole year and trying to briefly talk about the books that I've read this year based on different genres in the last week of 2015. So I've done dystopians and I've done science fiction, and I will link them both below. And like I said, today's topic is thriller and horror, and in case you're curious, tomorrow's is going to be graphic novels. So yeah, let's get started. The very first book, and this is in no particular order, that I have to talk about is A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis, which is about a girl named Grace who is in a mental facility, insane asylum, an asylum. I don't really know which word is politically correct to use. But she's put there because she's basically pregnant out of wedlock, and it's also largely because of who the father is. They're trying to hide her, and I'm not going to talk about that too much because it's kind of a plot twist in a way. But so it talks about Grace and how she eventually gets to, not really escape, but she gets to leave the asylum that she's in and goes to a different one, I believe in Ohio, where she helps a doctor solve crimes using criminal psychology, which is really interesting. And I kind of wish there's a little bit more of that in here than there was. But it was still a really good book. I really enjoy it. I'm not one for historical fiction very much, but it was very good. And I would definitely, I would definitely recommend it. The next book I had to talk about I don't have with me. It was from the library, and it's probably one of my favorites this year that I read, and that's Shutter by Courtney Almeida. It is about the descendants of Bram Stoker and Van Helsing, who have created like this school kind of thing, and the main character is the great-granddaughter of Van Helsing, and she extinguishes spirits using a modified camera. And I thought that was like one of the coolest things ever. And in the story, they come across this ghost that kind of gives them, it's like a curse/disease kind of thing. It's called Soul Chain, which is slowly killing her and her crew that, goes hunting with her. And it's a really good book because it's really dark, it's really interesting, and it just, I don't know how else to explain it. It's just, to me, it's really dark and interesting, so I find it really enjoyable. The characters are pretty good. Like, they're likable characters. The plot twists are nuts. I really enjoyed those, and I'm not going to talk about any of them because who likes to ruin plot twists? Not me. At least I try not to ruin them. But it's a really good book. I gave it 5 out of 5s on Goodreads. 5 out of 5s. 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And I would definitely recommend it if you're into the paranormal and dark stories. Yeah. Then I have Deep, Dark, and Dangerous by Mary Downing Hahn, which is a really thin book. I've had this for quite some time because I read it in middle school, and I really like Mary Downing Hahn's books. I also have The Old Willis Place up there, which is another one of her thriller horror stories, and they're both ghost stories, and they're really good. They're just scary enough to not be too traumatizing to a child, while still being, a ghost story. And it's about this girl who goes to a cabin out by a lake that her mother and her aunt used to live in. And her aunt goes there to renovate it and to paint because she's an artist. So she's there with her aunt and her cousin. And her cousin makes this friend named Sissy who is not very nice. And it kind of, the atmosphere of the place kind of slowly turns the main character's cousin and her aunt kind of not really against her, but it really starts to mess with them. So she tries to figure out what exactly happened at this cabin because her mother's afraid of going there. So she's trying to figure out what exactly happened, who is Sissy, and how can she keep her away from her family, and just like the whole thing with the lake and the cabin in general. And it's actually pretty good. I don't know if people like my age now would really like it unless they read it when they were little. They'd probably find it maybe boring. But I do really enjoy it. So if you're interested, you know, there you go. Mary Downing Hahn. She also has, like I said, The Old Will's Place, which is also a ghost story. And she has some more that are here. There's The Doll in the Garden, All the Lovely Bad Ones, Time for Andrew, and Wait Till Helen Comes. And they're all ghost stories. She's awesome. Then I have The Haunting of Sunshine Girl by Paige McKenzie. And if you don't know anything about Paige McKenzie, I'll probably put a link below. Paige McKenzie is a YouTuber who created this channel called the Network, or the Official Network, or the Network or something, of Sunshine Girl, about a girl who moves into a house, I want to say in Oregon. It's different in here, I think. I think in here they moved to Washington, but I swear it's Oregon in her YouTube channel. And she realizes that the new house that they move into is haunted. And at first she's trying to prove it to her mom. And then bad things start to happen, so then she tries to kind of fight them, along with this other plot twist, which is actually really cool. And I really enjoyed the YouTube videos. Like, in the beginning, I actually thought they were real, and I was so mad because I had done something, and I found an IMDb which basically said that it's like a web show kind of thing. And I was like, ugh. Because I believe in the paranormal, so I was like, this is awesome. No. But the story is really good, so if you're interested, you should go check it out. The Haunting of Sunshine Girl is along the same lines, but it's also really different. And it's still a really good story. It's got the same basic plot, the same basic characters, except one is different. And it's really interesting. So if you're really interested in the ghost stories and the paranormal stuff, then you should definitely check out The Haunting of Sunshine Girl. I like the YouTube videos more than I like the book, but the book is still really good, so if you'd rather read the book, then there you go. Paige McKenzie, Haunting of Sunshine Girl. The next book I have to talk about is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, which was the very first Holly Black book that I read. I had heard about her writing before, but I had never actually picked up her stuff. And I was really happy to find that I really enjoyed The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. I do really like vampire stories, but not necessarily the ones that are heavily coded in like romance. So I liked Twilight, but it's not one of my favorites, and there are definitely things wrong with that story. And I don't know if I would like Vampire Academy. I saw the movie, and I know the movie and the books are probably not really even all that close to each other, but I was still kind of questioning it, like, oh, I don't know if I'd like it. But The Coldest Girl in Cold Town I do like. I do weirdly like Vampire Kisses, which is a vampire love story, but whatever. I also really, really like The Chronicles of Vladimir Todd by Zachary Brewer. If you're going to look it up, it's under Heather Brewer because he went through a transition early this year, actually, and I'm also really proud of him. But that's one of my favorite stories ever, and it's not really heavily in romance, and I know I'm not even talking about it because I haven't read it this year, but I do definitely recommend the series because it's one of my favorites, and I'm sure you'd really like it. The next book I have to talk about is Asylum by Madeline Rowe, who has like a whole collection of these books. I don't know if they're called the Asylum series or if they're called something else. But it's a book that, if you've read Miss Peregrine's, it's kind of along the same thing. Not plot-wise, but it's got a lot of like old creepy pictures in it to kind of help to tell the story. And it's about this boy who gets a chance to go to a college for summer to kind of get some college credit and study there. And next to the old college is this old asylum that they're either turning into dormitories or they were just temporary dormitories while the actual dormitories were being renovated. I don't really remember. I also read the next one, which was Sanctum. I hope, I'm sure. But I'm not going to talk about it separately. So, Asylum and Sanctum. But they're both about a kid that goes to this asylum, and the grounds are actually kind of haunted by something that was once there, and somehow the main character is connected to it, and it kind of starts to affect him and his friends and the other kids that are there, and like a series of murder occurs, and they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I didn't love them, but they were pretty good. So I think I gave them a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe a 3 out of 5. But they're not bad. They're pretty good. They're not one of my favorites, though. The last book I have to talk about is The Third Twin, who is written by a name that currently escapes me. I don't remember. But this is a book that I thought would be more creepy, but it turns out it really wasn't. It's about a couple of twins who use an imaginary third twin as like not really a scapegoat, but they do as a kid. When they're older, they use her as kind of like a alias for when they go on dates with guys that they don't think they want to see again. Or guys that are too good for themselves or something silly. And after a while, these murders start to happen. And the clues all point to this imaginary third twin who doesn't exist. And, they kind of start to question each other. Like, have you taken this too far? I know you didn't really like this guy. So they're trying to figure out who this third twin could possibly be. And I thought it was going to be a ghost story. But it wasn't. It was just a thriller, mystery kind of thing. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I might have given it a 4 out of 5. I don't remember. And so, yeah. It wasn't one of my favorites. I thought it was going to be much better than it was. So, I think that's all I have for today. Like I said, tomorrow's graphic novels. And I have probably one of the graphic novels. The rest of them I got from... Oh, no, I have two. So I still have the one from the library that I got. But I get a lot of my books from the library. So a lot of these are library books. So, yeah, that is it. And I will see you guys tomorrow for my graphic novels year in review book thing. I'll see ya. Bye.